Hello and welcome to Perspectives. Definitely a very sad day. This is the third attack on political leaders today, and unfortunately, all three attacks have caused loss of life. The question arises: who is responsible for these terrorist attacks on the leadership of Pakistan? Who is responsible for creating this chaos so close to election? Are we helpless in the face of terrorism? Are we helpless to secure our leadership, our political leaders, and more than that, the process of democracy? Are we as a nation helpless at the hands of these enemies of the state? Is this the cost that Pakistan will continue to pay on this war on terrorism? Pakistan has suffered dearly, economically, has suffered emotionally, physically, has paid amazingly in terms of life, in terms of value. Pakistan is the frontline state in this war on terrorism. The world has not yet appreciated how Pakistan has suffered and how Pakistan is paying this price. I really don't have the words to summate how I feel today. This is the third attack on political rallies today. If this process continues, this electoral process, this process of democracy will be facing a challenge. The question: how do we get beyond it, and who is responsible for this? My guests in my studio, on my right, I have Mr. Dr. Arif Alavi, who is representing Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Thank you very much for being here. On my left, I've got Mr. Raza Haroon, ex-minister, Sindh. He is representing Muttahida Qawmi Movement. Raza, thank you very much for being here. In Islamabad studios, representing Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Group, we have Mr. Siddiqul Farooq. Siddiq sir, thank you very much for joining us. And on telephone, again from Islamabad, we have Mr. Fawad Chaudhry, who is representing Pakistan Muslim League FAF. Fawad sir, thank you very much for joining us. Raza, I'd like to start with you. It's definitely a very sad day, unfortunate day. But are we facing a conspiracy which we will not be able to deal with, or we would be able to deal with?
I think we are facing the Frankenstein monster that we created ourselves. Now it's standing right in our faces, challenging our culture, challenging our way of life, challenging how we want to perform our religious duties, and also now challenging the state. I don't think election is at stake right now. If you take the whole week, and if you go through the incidents, starting from the murder of MKM candidate in Hyderabad, then the two murders of ANP leaders in KPK, then you move forward and you see today what happened with the PMLN leader Sanaullah Zaheri Sahab. Now we are witnessing, and I would like to pray for Ghulam Bilwar Sahab, that God, Allah give him strength and give him
Amen.
life and all that. But what we have to think today is that I don't think election is in any danger. I think Pakistan is in danger. If a few handful terrorists, religious extremists, may it be Taliban, may it be someone else, if these anti-state elements are so strong, they have got so much strength, then they are challenging the writ of the state, and that they are challenging the entire state apparatus and committing these open atrocities, terrorist activities throughout the country now. With open, it looks like that nobody will stop them. How will you ensure free and fair election? How will you ensure that people of Pakistan will feel safe enough to leave their homes, go to the polling station, cast their vote, and then feel safe enough to return to their homes? There are open threats against MKM, ANP, and PPP.
Okay, you've said this is a Frankenstein's monster.
Pakistan is in danger right now. I think election is no issue right now.
But you said this is a Frankenstein's monster. I'd like to build on that. That would imply that we have created this monster.
It's a known fact whether you want to.
So I'm going to go to Mr. Siddiqul Farooq and Mr. Fawad Chaudhry, who both would be representing the previous governments. Mr. Farooq, Raza Haroon Sahib has said that this is a Frankenstein's monster. That would imply that the forces before us, or in the past years, have failed to curtail terrorism, and they have created this monster. How would you comment on that, sir?
Thank you, Faisal Qureshi. You have rightly said that previous government, the coalition government which ruled this country for 5 consecutive long years, has not been able to solve this problem. I don't know why, especially when the joint sitting of the parliament gave them a consensus 14-point formula that should have been implemented in letter and spirit. But for reasons not known to me and not known even to you, to the people of Pakistan, they have not implemented it. And rightly, Mr. Faisal Sabzwari said that a problem
Mr. Raza Haroon
has been created for the state of Pakistan. But as far as the importance of election is concerned, there I will differ with Mr. Sabzwari. I think election on time is the only solution, because through elections, the nation will elect a government which with fresh mandate and with fresh outlook will solve this problem, which will prove beneficial not only for Pakistan, for this region, and for the world at large. So I stress that though our leader has been attacked in Balochistan today, we are also we have been making targets. Still, we believe that a fresh government with fresh mandate will be able to solve this issue and also solve other problems confronting the nation.
All right. Mr. Farooq, I did not imply that the previous government, I had implied that all previous governments, at least the ones which have ruled Pakistan in the past maybe 15 to 20 years. Mr. Fawad, I'd like to come to you because you have been a part of the previous government as well. Do you think we are now hostage to these terrorist forces, and are we so helpless that we're taking such an onslaught from them on a daily basis and at such a crucial time? Fawad, can you hear me? I think we lost Fawad. We'll take my line. Dr. Saab?
Yeah, I believe very strongly that there should be freedom for people to propagate their ideas, especially close to the elections. I believe democracy is in danger. I believe that if certain parties are not allowed to go out, for example, MQM, ANP, and People's Party are not are able to go out. And
I would have to interject, even PMLN, because they've suffered great loss today.
Even PMLN, if they are under danger and they are not allowed to go out and coax people to vote for them, I think democracy is under threat, seriously under threat. I believe very strongly that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and all parties who are on your show today should condemn these incidents unequivocally. There is no justification to kill political leadership for any reason whatsoever, to kill any innocent person for any reason whatsoever, and then aspiring political leaders, because if you put them under pressure, they can't come out and propagate their ideas. Now, having said that, I also believe that just putting the blame on the previous government or previous governments may not serve any purpose. Let me present some ideas about the future and what Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf believes should have happened. What should have happened is that there was an all-parties conference which was held about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then the resolution of that all-parties conference was to give peace a mandate, to make efforts towards peace. I don't know how seriously the government made an effort towards negotiating things and how seriously they came towards peace. This is a regional issue where the United States is in Afghanistan, for example, because if we talk about Taliban as having threatened 3 or 4 political parties that they will not be allowed to hold functions, that Taliban issue comes into focus with the American presence also in Afghanistan. And if I present a solution, please keep in mind that there is no justification for terror. We have to understand the reason to handle it, and there are 2 ways to handle it. If you feel this is purely a law and order situation or the writ of state which is challenged, then the only solution to handle that is by force. Agreed? And if you believe that there are other causes in which they could be instrumental in bringing Pakistan to that level, then there should be a comprehensive issue. Now let me give an example. How many terrorists were brought into courts of law and tried and sentenced in the last 5 years? I don't believe a single one. Now what is happening? Are we arresting terrorists? Are we going out and just killing people? I don't know what is happening, but it raises a big question mark in my mind that if there are no courts of law which are handling this, and now the courts of law may be burdened, may be under pressure. So we have to look at those aspects also. So there is no short-term solution. Okay. But I believe very strongly that elections have to be held. This caretaker government, they don't have the mandate.
There is just no debate on that.
No debate.
There's no debate that the process of democracy has to rise. But you mentioned negotiation. Even though theoretically I absolutely agree with you, but I have to open a discussion here, because this is one thing which you've repeatedly been accused of or questioned about. Pakistan Terrorism.
Yes.
Mr. Fawad, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was said earlier was that this is a Frankenstein's monster, this terrorism, and from which I implied that someone had created this monster. Mr. Siddiq al-Faruq shifted the blame to the previous government. But we moved on the discussion where Dr. Arif Alavi just said that we need to negotiate. Now my question, I'd like to start with you, Fawad, is yes, of course we need to negotiate, but do we negotiate from a position of weakness where we are taking a beating from them, or we have to first soften them and then negotiate from a position of strength?
Right.
How will we achieve that, and where will this negotiation take us?
Well, first, let me say that those parties who ask that we should negotiate are doing nothing but in fact supporting this Talibanization, and they are allied of Taliban, and this is just a ploy basically to save these brutal enemies of Pakistan, and they just take this negotiation as a kind of a ploy as an excuse for them. We have already 5 negotiations with them. It all started in 2003. Even before that, if you remember, when General Mahmood went to Kabul after this 9/11 and they negotiated a deal, that failed. Then Sheikh Mohammed deal, that failed. Then Mr. Achakrai was governor of KPK at that time for 20 years. He negotiated 2 deals. All deals failed. And ultimately, what Taliban has did, they used these deals only to get more space. And they came to Swat, and we have to basically force them out. What negotiations we can do? We can do negotiations only within framework of our constitution. Are we going to negotiate that Malala Yousafzai will not go to school? Are we going to negotiate that these brutalities of Taliban in the name of Islam will be allowed to continue? I mean, these negotiation thing is just rubbish. I just cannot imagine that a state will go down before a bunch of monsters like Taliban. We have to fight them. We must fight them. And if we don't fight them, we will just kill ourselves. How can we negotiate with the people who have killed 40,000 innocent Pakistanis? How can we negotiate with the people who have agenda to impose, who have to take Pakistan back into cave era? We cannot negotiate with them. We must fight, and this confusion of negotiation is, in fact, the biggest crime these political parties are committing, these opinion makers are committing, and this is what we have to say in future.
Okay, Raza, do you agree with Mr. Fawad or Mr. Alvi?
Well, let me say my own thing here is that, at the end of the day, any conflict has to be resolved on table. However, having said that, I agree with you totally that you can't enter into negotiation with terrorists from a point of weakness. You have to be the one guiding dictating the terms
because otherwise,
of
like Fawad said, we've been negotiating.
You are not
Malala going to school.
You are not negotiating with a state. Remember, you are not negotiating with a legitimate party. You are not discussing your issues with someone who is prepared to, give up on their extremist stance. So I must say, there has to be certain preconditions. You can't start negotiation without them meeting those preconditions, and it's a worldwide phenomenon. Terrorists have to give up their arms first.
Sure.
They have to surrender. They have to then come up with ideas what they really wanted and how will they negotiate on that. Their terms should come first. Pakistan state should not be negotiating from a point of weakness. You know, they have their arms, they keep bombing. There has to be a period of ceasefire. There has to be a peace for a ceasefire for 3-4 months. They have to show.
Instead of them being softened right now, we are softened.
We are softened. Your state is softened. So what we have to dictate to them, there is no, I don't think there is any harm in negotiation, because at the end of the day, as I said, all conflicts are resolved on negotiating table. However, the prerequisite is there has to be a 3-4 month ceasefire from them. They have to show and demonstrate that they are serious about negotiating. They want to give up their arms, they want to give up their terrorist activities, and they want to change. They want to come into the mainstream politics. Come and have elections. You want seats? Come and have elections. General elections are happening. Support a political party and say that, you know, your mandate is throughout Pakistan. This is the way to do it. Democracy is the only way. So,
but they don't believe in that. They have.
But you see,
they believe in force.
It's a very thin line. We can't have our state and state forces and state apparatus showing weaknesses. You see, so preconditions are met. Then you must have a. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming any government because it's pointless. You must have a national counter-terrorism policy, a strategic board. You see, who is going to deal with this? Not the political parties. I was surprised to see the APCs and all that. You know, we just had some APCs.
Sure.
There were some long notifications, press notes after that, but that doesn't mean anything. There has to be a national counter-terrorism strategy, a forum which will be dealing with it. And preconditions not met, no negotiation.
Okay. Siddiq Farooq Sahab, both Fawad and Raza Haroon have said that there has to be a position of strength before we negotiate with them. What would you say? Should we launch an all-out offensive against terrorist forces before we negotiate, as Dr. Saab and PTI is demanding, or we should go into a negotiation already? How would you comment on that?
Thank you. As far as the question of negotiation is concerned, there I support. Historically, I think it is a truth which we should also follow. They represented the nation, and the 14 points formula given by the Parliament is a wise path, is a wise formula. You rightly said that the problem was not created by the previous government, but of course they were not able to solve this problem. And now, if I have a force, with all force at my command, I will appeal to those who are exercising terrorism even now that they should not go for this. They should wait for the new government so that that government can deal with them in the light of the consensus formula. And I hope that once elections are held and new government comes, this issue will be resolved.
Siddiq Sahab, I am forced to ask you, how do you think a new government, and whoever the new government is, will be so quickly able to solve this problem without actually hardcore confrontation? Just an academic question.
And who's the next government?
Of course, the army and other relevant institutions and bodies have come to the conclusion that after withdrawal of coalition forces, this issue has to be resolved. And if coalition forces hold dialogue with say, good Taliban, we should also hold dialogue and negotiate this issue. If they have certain problems, those problems must be resolved. And through these negotiations, we have to isolate those who are not coming to genuine terms. Once we isolate them, then use of force will deliver. And if we do not isolate them, use of force so far has not delivered. They have attacked even GHQ. They have attacked the place of their choice. They have killed a man of their choice. So I think if they also believe that this issue should be resolved and they have extended support to the Jirga, so we should come to these terms and we already the formula, which to my mind are, as far as I know, have been the formula has been, I think, finalized. So when fresh government comes, it should have to follow that formula.
Okay.
It is not a recent issue. It is an old issue, and there are so many possibilities to resolve this issue. Only the commitment is needed, the resolve is needed, the will is needed.
All right. I need to give Dr. Saab a due time for a detailed answer on this one. This is crucial. You want to make a comment here?
If it is so simple, till the next government comes in, the formula goes. I'm surprised. The other thing is that democracy is the only solution, you see. That is the only solution.
To this problem of terrorism.
Any problem, they have to, if they have got a strong point of view, they should go to the public for that.
No, but you see, you're inviting them to a democratic way, but that is not their way.
No, that is what I'm saying. If that is not their way, then this is not our way. You go and you deal with terrorists from the point of weakness. I'm sorry. They are saying they have got some problems, but even if they have got some problems, there are ways and means to raise them. They
doesn't justify them killing us.
They can hold a peaceful protest. They can do a long march. They can raise their issues with the Pakistani government. They can raise their issue through a Pakistani political party like the PMLN. They can voice their concerns. But who is allowing them to actually commit terrorist acts? How can you patronize that? How can you support that? Nobody can. I think we all agree that it has to be condemned.
Okay, I started the show because on this topic because this was really important given today's instances. But 20 minutes into the conversation, this has now raised a huge flag in my mind. I'm thinking this is really Pakistan's first and foremost problem. And I've got 4 political parties online right now. I'd like to hear how you're going to solve it. Because Mr. Farooq has very well said that let the election happen, let them come in and they deal with it. Now I want to hear how you want to deal with it. And all of you, please.
Yes, I think it's a very important point. I think all of us agree on a number of issues. Number one, we agree that the government should be negotiating, but the point of negotiation is probably a difference of opinion between us. Let me suggest a few things. What is the Taliban point of view? And the only thing.
My apologies. I don't think Raza Haroon is or Mr. Fawad at all are agreeing on negotiation. They're saying beat them down.
No.
First beat them down.
No. What I'm saying is there are preconditions.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Go for negotiation, but preconditions. There has to be conducive environment for that.
Now, a few preconditions have been suggested. One was surrender your arms, give up your arms, and surrender. Okay. In the history of the world, I believe that no negotiations have taken place if people surrender their arms and surrender themselves and lay down their arms and then negotiate. What can be said is, lay down your arms, give up, like what Raza said, have a peaceful ceasefire for 2 or 3 months for negotiations to succeed. That's the first step. Okay, we agree on that. In fact, it's very interesting that I agree with a number of things that Siddiq Al-Farooq Saab said and Raza said, although we may be political rivals, but when you look at a problem, you look at a problem, you look at the merits of the problem. Now, at what point do you negotiate is important. The Americans have been trying to say that we will be negotiating from a position of strength. And over the last 9 or 10 years, their strength has become weaker and weaker and weaker. Okay, so that argument they have failed in doing. Number 2, we have tried to handle it from a position of strength and we have not succeeded. We lack the amount of money, the resources, even the satellites to give information on movements and things. So to be simplistic and say that first we will come to a position of strength and then we will negotiate. Number 3.
So what you're suggesting is we go at this position.
This is the point in time when you should start negotiating. And what do you negotiate on?
Now, as Raza very well said, we're not going to negotiate in Malala not going to school.
Yes, we're not going to negotiate.
So, but then what do you negotiate? Demand.
No, that's not the demand. You see, you look at the demand, what has been presented. The demand presented is in 2 letters which the Taliban have issued. Let's take that as the basis of the first opening which the Taliban have made. The first opening said that we want to establish the system of justice which Islam has ordained for us. Number 1. But that point is no different from, for example, Jamaat-e-Islami. That point is no different from Jamiat Ulama Islam. They want the same thing, to establish some form of Islamic system of fairness, of judiciary, of Sharia or whatever. Okay. Now the second point which they have made is very important. The point they have made is that the Pakistan government and the Pakistan army is involved in a war on the behest of the United States of America. They're killing our people in Afghanistan and they're killing us here. So they are reacting to that. I believe Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf believes, and what Siddiq Al-Farooq Sahab said very rightly so, is that the exit strategy of the US is very important to this entire game. As long as the Pakistan, you see, the recruitment of people for this jihad by the Taliban against the US forces is an important factor. If you remove the jihad factor by encouraging or involving the Taliban in an exit strategy of the United States, which is bound to happen sooner or later. The sooner it happens, the better it may be for Pakistan. I don't know what will happen in Afghanistan, and I'm concerned, but I'm not as concerned, because Afghans have the right to do what they want to in their country. We do not want to interfere with them. But an exit strategy is necessary to take out the recruitment philosophy of the Taliban. And thirdly and lastly is that the negotiation will have to be done with the tribal elders who have communication. They will come up with promises and ways and means, and by jirgas it may not be possible directly to go through it. But this is the forum which should be searched. I'm not saying this is a solution.
Your point number three is logical.
Yeah.
I can't even argue. Point number two needs to be seen, how the exit happens, how that affects us.
Yes.
That's not happening tomorrow morning. But the problem on the first one, Jamaat Islami or any other right-wing party, that's not the Islam that this third force is asking for. That's a completely different Islam.
No, they believe
Jamaat Islami is not asking for that kind of Islam. They're not asking that women should be locked in and men should grow beard. And
the Taliban letter says, I'm not their interpreter.
The letter just says, Islam, but practically
it says something. It says something on this. You must read that letter, because that's the only forum where they've come on paper.
Their Islam.
No, there are so many various groups of the Taliban.
Okay.
Like when you talk to the Irish Republican Army, there were so many groups there.
All right.
In every group. Yes.
Fawad, do you agree with all of this? And I'll bring you back to your original comment. You said we need to go full force. Then my question to you, why have we not unleashed a full force yet, and we are taking such a hit?
First, I'm extremely happy that Mr. Alvi has clarified that he is not a spokesman of Taliban. I earlier thought that he is, in fact, the way he clarified all their points. In fact, the Taliban letter has nothing. Just anyway, it's not shit. Sorry, I'm not agreeing with that. The only point I have is that Pakistan should join them in war of terrorism, and Pakistan should fight the world against whole of the world with them. This is the only point that letter says to us. Now, I have not heard Mr. Siddiq Al-Farooq. I was not hearing completely, but then you said that he says that when the new system, everything will be okay. Well, this is an old theory which is said, set a thief to catch a thief, and both PTI and PMLN is in fact sells this theory to United States and all the world that they are righteous parties. They are already pro-Taliban. Once they will be in power, Taliban will have feel-good factors to talk to them. And since ANP and People's Party, liberal parties will be in opposition, they won't oppose to such deals. And righteous can only make a deal with righteous. No leftist party can do a deal with the leftist party. So this is the whole deal which they want to present Western world for their own political future. But the matter is, this theory has really failed in the past when we have and you know that he took money from Al-Qaeda. Against Benazir Bhutto from Osama bin Laden, and all those appeasing acts of the right-wingers. We established MMA in 2002. Pervez Musharraf established MMA on the same theory, set a thief to catch a thief, and those acts in fact done nothing but gave more space to Taliban and more empowerment to Taliban. We need an action, and frankly, just look at the PTI. They oppose drone attacks. On the same time, they oppose action in the North Waziristan. Now, for God's sake, if you are not controlling your own area by your own forces, then the world where these people go and do terrorism acts, they will come and obviously kill them. Either you kill them yourself, you clean your area yourself, or the world will come and clean. You cannot, we cannot say that we have no control on our area, but you cannot come and operate in our area. We have to decide, and this is the primary responsibility lies on the army. They have to come up with a strategy to deal with it, because it's a security issue. Army has a huge stake in this. Army has to tell us why they have failed. And now I'm happy. One thing I would like to point out here is that now Chief Minister of KPK is a judge of Supreme Court. And easiest thing in the Supreme Court is that just call all the responsible, bash them, and try to insult them whatever way it can be. And now once a judge of Supreme Court is now in the KPK as a chief minister, serving as a chief minister, now I think he can realize it is much easier said than doing. Doing actions are much more complicated stuff to deal with. In the KPK, they have really a very complicated situation, and elsewhere. So sitting in the courtrooms and bashing others is much easier than dealing with the situation. Now I must say that yes, that's the election. So
Fawad, I need to take comments from Mr. Siddiq, because you've said that they are what they're selling is that the right wing party can only deal with the right wingers, and then they're using that as an edge for their political advantage. Siddiq Sahab, what would you say to that?
We have never said this, and army has never been out of it. During 8 years of Pervez Musharraf, the army was being commanded by Pervez Musharraf, and still army is involved in it. And so-called leftist party, I think it is a secular party, not leftist party, PPP I mean to say, it has been given full 5 years to solve this issue. And if, God forbid, we sell this idea to United States that rightists can solve this issue, then who has sold the idea to the United States to negotiate this issue with Taliban, good Taliban? And I think Mr. Fawad Chaudhry doesn't know the developments which are taking place during past 3 to 4 years. Coalition forces are prepared to withdraw. Who has advised them to withdraw? PMLN? Or Tehreek-e-Insaf? Or Jamaat-e-Islami? No. They have found that sheer use of force has not helped them to solve this issue, has not helped them to establish their government or a puppet government in Afghanistan. And Mr. Alvi has rightly said that the basic cause that has created this problem, aggravated this problem, is the usurpation of Afghanistan by outsiders. When it was invaded and occupied by USSR, Afghans waged jihad. And for them, the situation has not been changed. In the past, it was USSR, and right now, it is the coalition forces.
Okay. So I need to interrupt you. I'm running short on time. Raza, I want your comment. I think you're aching to say a few things, but I want you to comment on one thing. Has the previous government failed to curtail this? And now this has become very crucial. And I'm really glad for this very intelligent discussion. And there's, you all are not fighting amongst each other, because this is really a matter of collective national importance. It's a
national issue, and we should not be fighting. And
please, so what's your solution to this?
My solution to this is, when I said coming to negotiate it from a point of strength, I never said point of force. Point of strength is this: all political parties, religious parties should be on one page. That is strength. People should back them. People of Pakistan should back them. That is strength. They should back the government. That is strength. Government should back the army. That is strength. Strength is not going out and doing, combats and, using arms. Then I say, but unfortunately, as you see in this program as well, we are very much concerned on this national issue. So we have to be on one page. We have to think thoroughly. A jirga without a government representation meant nothing. It was not even a legitimate jirga to go and talk to someone because it was not from the government of Pakistan. It didn't have the backing of the state of Pakistan. The Prime Minister did not sign it. So you see, the point of strength, when I say, is that come May, what the government is coming, I don't know whether PMLN, PPP, Tehreek-e-Insaf, NJM, who will form the government, it will be a coalition government, I don't know. That government will not be able to solve the issue, it will remain there for another 5 years, until and unless, mark my word, all political parties, all religious parties, all stakeholders within Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, backs the government backs the army, and then the National Counter-Terrorism Strategy Board, or whatever you may want to call it, with the backing, go and negotiate with the precondition that there has to be a show of a demonstration from the terrorists that they are really serious in giving up terrorism.
Okay, I've sort of run out of time to take your final comments. I'd like to propose one thing, and maybe just a very short word from all of you. So are we suggesting here that we offer certain terms at which they negotiate with us, failing which we have the option to use full force?
Not yet.
No, failing which?
No. I believe there should be a very major program on the civilian side. I think a part of that you should mentally prepare before, that there has to be a package in the areas which have been devastated. Number one, sure.
I'm not
and at the same time, you have to. Just one more thing, because those attacks may still continue. You have to have precise information. You have to bring your criminal laws and civil laws in a manner where you precisely attack that.
That's prosecution and prevention.
Because that will go on for years now. I don't.
But that's prosecution and prevention. What I'm saying is, I'm going beyond that.
Which is missing since the last 5 years. I asked you that the terrorists who were arrested, were they ever tried? They were never tried.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. I must comment on this very quickly, though I'm out of time. I really enjoyed today's program, and it gave me great hope that 4 political parties, representatives who would otherwise be arguing amongst each other, have had an intelligent discourse, a logical discourse. And as Raza said, we may have different ways of approaching this problem, but we all agree we have a problem, and we have to deal with it. Let's use this election to come together, be a collective force, protect ourselves. We have paid a huge price, and the world has to appreciate what Pakistan has done. Thank you very much. Until next time, good night.